Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz, Shauketaly.
And a wonderful morning to you. This is Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And joining us for the first time in 2017 is that eminent legal personality, Mr. Gomin Dayasiri. Very good morning to you, Mr. Dayasiri.
Good morning, sir.
And I absolutely love the wonderful coloured scarf you have.
Thank you. And do I have to return compliments?
No, not at all. Not at all. But I was wondering if you would, if we could have your take on what 2017 will hold for Sri Lanka.
Oh, in the words of P.G. Woodhouse, I'll say, what ho, 2017.
Indeed. Is it westward ho, or is it eastward that we are looking to?
I think we are looking at the centerfold. Because I think it's going to, if you look at the situation throughout the world, there's a populist movement arriving on the scene. I mean, it's if you look at the situation in America, did anyone hear of Bernie Sanders, Trump? They were unknown figures in the political arena, but suddenly they stepped in and nearly took Hillary Clinton off the Democratic list, and Trump beat Hillary Clinton. That is not all. In Britain, it became Brexit. And who led it? Brian Johnson, the very colourful character from the Conservative Party, who was not really had the leadership position in the central government, but was the mayor of London.
Indeed.
And then we had to see the other kind of people who came in. We had the president from Philippines,
yes,
who's trying to clean up.
Yes.
Then we have,
but rather controversially,
and also Le Pen. Miss Le Pen is about to take power over in France. So what does it mean? To me, there's one single distinct feature running. It's not an age. Old people like Bernie Sanders, but they're all new names, new people. So I think there's a big movement away from the anti-establishment, anti-elitist groups, and new people to come into play.
But Mr. Dayasiri, tell me, we have this news that a private US firm has been contracted to provide advice and teach our parliament a thing or two about transparency, administration, why and how to address this underrepresentation of the female species in parliament and so on. Nearly 2 years after the election of the government, do you mean to say that they now need to have a private company telling them what is best for our country? It's like tinkering with our constitution.
It is not the first time it has happened. It is not the first time that
Doesn't make it right, does it?
If you remember 4 years ago, there was another group of people, an American firm that was acting as our lobbyist in the United States.
Yes, but at least that they will lobby.
Yeah, but the point is, there is going to be a cultural coalition in this whole matter. Because I think if this kind of thing is to be done, it has to be more homegrown, not Sri Lankan certainly, but it can be Asian, because we have a feel, we have a common links. I mean, you can pick countries that are very efficient like Japan or South Korea or Thailand. But why do we have to think of only America, which is a culture away from us, and a very advanced state of administration, and our own backward set of legislators and the parliament and all that? Do you think this will merge? I doubt very much. I think it will be much cheaper if they look at more remedies more in the Asian context. They could teach us something useful. Undoubtedly, we need some expertise, we need quality. But do we need Americans who have been a total failure in this situation? You can remember what happened when the Norwegians came in and tried to broker a truce.
Yeah.
So you see, these people, the culture is an important thing. There must be cultural compatibility.
Then, Mr. Dayasiri, the Daily Mirror this morning treats us to Sarata Munagama's proposal to set up a tribunal to probe corruption. Do you know, we seem to be going several steps backwards. This was a draconian piece of work way back when the CJC had been done. Why is Dr. Amunagama Is he trying to score brownie points, the Prime Minister?
I think it's that they are desperate. I think they're desperate because corruption charges have been inquired into for 2 long years and nothing has, not a single piece of evidence has been presented in court.
Indeed.
I mean, there we have courts of law totally can conduct these inquiries, have all the necessary infrastructural requirements and the law is in place. But why is it that nothing is happening? It is simply because they don't know how to set about it. And this is the good governance.
Is it as simple as that they don't know, that they are clueless?
They are clueless because, but they're talking now of commissions. That's another delaying tactic because you have to set up commissions without going straight into court and filing plaints against the relevant people. I mean, we have a court structure, we have a judiciary that is recently recognized, and we have prosecutors, we have the Aegis department. But what is happening? Nothing is happening. And to get over that situation, they come weird ideas like commissions and CJCs. I mean, there was a total failure.
What does it take for the President to appoint a special commission, a presidential commission, for example, to look into the bond?
He could easily do that because, I mean, that has been happening last government. I can remember there was a special commission led by Nisanka Udulagam, a Supreme Court judge, looking into war crimes. So like that they can easily happen because the law is there. There's a Special Presidential Commission Act. I don't think we should go under that because the only punishment will be loss of civic rights. But we have what is called a Commission of Inquiry Act.
Presidential Commission?
No, not Presidential. Commission of Inquiry Act can, when the President appoints, it becomes a Presidential Commission of Inquiry.
And would that have punitive powers?
That would have punitive powers. That could be given punitive powers. That could, if that is not so, they could make recommendations which could be implemented.
So basically, in terms of the bond matter and the actions of the Minister in charge of the subject of the Central Bank, also known as the Prime Minister, Mr. Wickremesinghe, do you think that don't you think that there is this concerted effort to try and delay the inevitable?
Yes. I think there's not only in the part of the government but also on the part of the opposition, because this is an issue that has been so critical for Sri Lanka. It's a poor man's money. It's the EPF funds. 15 billion has been lost, or 30 billion, anything between 15 to 30 billion, or even more possibly, because they can't quantify the thing. But what is the commission? Is the bank? Is the central bank pursuing any efforts to recover the money? Nothing has been done. And
well, yesterday,
where is the opposition? I mean, to me, this is bipartisanship at its best, and that is what is happening. I think that people are talking about a regime change during New Year. The ex-president is saying that he's coming into power. Very likely, there can be a shift because, you see, for us, the whole problem is the 19th Amendment. 19th Amendment has this Article 70 where you cannot have elections for 4 years and 6 months even if a government collapses.
But if there is two-thirds.
If they have two-thirds, but will two-thirds of the MPs want to have their period duration of office reduced? They'll never do that. And many of these MPs were people who lost elections, who have come through the back door of appointed MPs. So you can never get a two-thirds. That's impossible, and that's nobody is going to ask him for it because that's dealing with the impossibility. But the possibility is that you can change governments because the same parliamentarians can get into conclave and then elect a new Prime Minister. And I won't be surprised if that change is made, because all you need is about 10 opposition MPs switching sides, and that is easily possible, because in this context there are so many SLFP MPs who are quite prepared to drop the President Sirisena and join Mahinda Rajapaksa. But the thing is, I think that is the only saving grace for the UNP, because as I told you at the beginning, Faraz,
yes,
we are in a period where there's a strong feeling of anti-establishment. I don't think Mahinda Rajapaksa can come into power and do anything effective. So once again, Ranil Wickremesinghe as the leader of the opposition, leading the forces against anti-establishment, of course not with the good governance kids, but with a different lineup, will say, I give me total power, make the UNP strong. And without the SLFP following, they might well win the elections, because SLFP being in the saddle during two of the most difficult years in the history of Sri Lanka, can easily bungle the economy further down the line.
I see. So it's all not very clear, is it? Is that the problem?
It's a problem because you see what is going to happen is that the Sri Lanka Freedom Party is today with one section is with the Mahinda Rajapaksa, another section is with Sirisena in the government. I mean, for them to shift positions is very easy provided they get a position. So what will happen is the 220 elections will bring very negative results because the same parliamentarians who are responsible in bringing Sirisena in power may be the people who may be also responsible for bringing Mahinda Rajapaksa into power. So I think 2020, unless we have Faraz, this is the tragedy of Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
We have all the necessary ingredients for a change of regime, but we don't have a leadership. Our leadership is aged. Our leadership is a weary.
But isn't that really down to the existing leadership? For example, Mr. Vikram Singh has led this party for a very long time.
And Mr. Vikram Singh will not allow any change to take
well,
place.
Well, that's the problem.
So does
He's
Mr.
been hanging on to power by tinkering with the constitution of the United National Party and putting his people in at the executive committee.
So this is the problem. Both sides. Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa also is doing the same thing. He wants to run the third time. Now, obviously, I think the message is loud and clear that no.
Why is this country so spectacularly unlucky? What have we done wrong in our previous lives?
I think we are doing a lot of wrong in our present lives, not previous lives. But problem is they don't give any newcomer an opportunity to come into politics. Even a brother cannot come into politics without Mahinda Rajapaksa's sponsorship. Because I think the only character I can see in the field today who can give a new look, a new emergence to the whole system is Gotabaya Rajapaksa. I don't think Mahinda Rajapaksa
but he won't be
permitted to come in because Mahinda Rajapaksa is occupying that chair, and I don't think that those brothers would want a clash in the family.
Indeed. We're waiting to see whether there will be a break in the meantime. Mr. Dayasiri,
yes,
we seem to have a problem with direction. We seem to have problem with direction, and on the one side, the government says that money is very tight and so on. There's hardly any development going along in the rural areas, which is why the government movement has come into being and has been so immensely successful, because we are delivering what these largely forgotten people in the country need. But in the meantime, we have the Prime Minister promising mega development drive. Rather grand. Where's the money going to come from?
Yes, and he's designated himself as the Super Minister, and one of his, Malik Samar Singh, being the only other person who's to be associated with him in this project. But what is shockingly bad is that every provincial council has outvoted this proposal, so it just doesn't get through. Now the message is very clear to me that when these new recommendations come to change the constitution, that's going to be the opening for the parliamentarians to quit sides. They might become thoroughly nationalistic, and that is what is happening in the world today. You get the made in France, made in UK, made in USA tags being attached because the main issue today seems to be employment and immigration. So on those counts, I think that is how Trump came into power also. So in that background, we can become very, very communal minded, we can become very ethnic. Now those are dangerous tendencies if allowed to drift uncontrollably. So it is very essential that the President and the Prime Minister look into these constitutional amendments very carefully and cautiously, because otherwise they are playing with fire, they are giving an opening to their opposition to come into power.
Now then, Mr. Dayasiri, being a legal man and so on, we are told that the Prime Minister has referred this court report to the Attorney General. Now then, this is ahead of a planned debate in Parliament debate that COPE report. Isn't it true that if you send the report to the Attorney General without having a parliamentary debate first, and then the Speaker sending it to the Attorney General, isn't it true that there is no legal standing?
I don't think that
Isn't there a mismatch?
No, there is no mismatch, because I think what should have been done already is the action should have been filed. And the Attorney General, if the papers have come to him, or you must see, he's a unique character in our constitution. He is featured as an individual with immense power, which he doesn't have to diffuse, or it doesn't get, nobody can reduce him in office as such. So, except the President, of course. But the point is that what has the Attorney General been doing? What has the department been doing?
I think they've been asleep.
They have clearly demonstrated that they are in total slumber. I mean, the Attorney General, if the report had been sent, you know what a great job you did, and this particular service and its owners did in trying to ferreting this whole thing out. Now it's all lost. Nobody talks about it. Mahinda Rajapaksa is gone to sleep on it. The SLP is doing nothing. The opposition is doing nothing, and nobody is talking about it. Occasionally you hear the governor of the central bank mumbling about some two.
Well, yesterday the governor of the central bank said that due to legal reasons he's unable to tell the Republic what action has been taken against that company. Well, you know, what could it possibly be?
Well, ask him what the legal reasons are. He says legal reasons. If you give reasons, you must spell out the reasons. What are the reasons that he cannot speak? Why? My question is this: why is it that they are unable to file action against the wrongdoers? Ask him that question. Yes. Why is he not filing action? Because he's got 3 reports. He's got the COPE report, he's got his own central bank report, he's got the Auditor General. 3 eminent reporting agencies.
Yeah.
Now, with all that information, why is he saying that he cannot give reasons? Because the law doesn't prevents him from doing that.
Indeed. You know, dear Governor, please tell us why.
No.
And do come on the program and ask us, tell us why.
You know, Governor is a very honourable man.
Of course he is.
And
that's why we say that he ought to be coming here and answering these questions.
And we were very happy when he was appointed. But having taken up that appointment, I don't know whether any good men like he will ever want to come into office.
We wonder if he is being allowed to do his job.
That is what I'm wondering, because I don't think he's a man who will fear to do what is right and proper. I mean, he is acceptable both to the government and the opposition. He's acceptable man all over. But becoming totally ineffective. So that is bad. That is typical Sri Lankan style of administration. You bow to power. I mean, that is not what you must do. If you have authority, you must do the correct thing, proper thing. And certainly this man is not doing what he can do.
But more to the point, is he being permitted to do this?
Well, that's for him to say. If he's not permitted to do what he's doing, he should either resign, or he should say, I'm not permitted to do what has to be done, and bring it to the nose of people without hiding behind his legal facade, saying, for legal reasons I cannot express myself.
But isn't this whole good governance promise, isn't that entirely a facade? It has now turned out to be a facade. What a wonderful word you've picked this morning. And it is, in my outlook, it is rather a facade. They promised us good governance. They said they'll hold the previous lot accountable, and 2 years down the line, they've done absolutely jack about it.
That is why I used the word Woodhouse, P.G. Woodhouse. What ho! To 2017. Now,
yes,
remember,
these are words, Mr. Dayasiri. What can the Republic do? What can the people do?
The people did what they could do on the 8th of January. And I give credit to the good governance kids. They came forward, and that is what brought this Mahinda Rajapaksa down. His administration, I'm not blaming Mahinda Rajapaksa.
But bringing Mahinda Rajapaksa down purely
was not sufficient.
Was not sufficient, as it now turns out.
Obviously, and that is why the good governance kids who are with the government have left them. They are all deserted. They have deserted the government. It means the good governance has totally crashed. It's a failure. But now what are we doing? We are spending 13 billion rupees to get some foreign experts to rely on the program.
$13 million, 1.9 billion rupees.
So, is that, I mean, we had experience previous of these high prepaid American agencies.
But of course, apparently we are not paying. US aid is paying.
Yes, US aid would be paying on our behalf. I mean, they are paying for Sri Lanka. We could utilize that money more profitably. That is what we should do.
Right.
I mean, we should look at if we need skills. We must tap the correct reservoir for skills. But I think we must look at more Asian context where they understand our kind of corrupt society existence.
These are very serious times.
Very troubling
times. Now, as we enter 2017. Shamindra Ferdinando from the island writes a headline story: President urged to halt coal tender for company embroiled in controversy. Do you think that anybody is paying any attention in the least to all these corrupt deals that are carrying on?
I don't think. As I say, a corrupt deal surfaces, then it gets attention, then you find some person wrongdoings, public are aware of the cost, and then it is swept under the carpet. This is the key. I can see a clear-cut, coordinated policy between the present government and the present opposition, including the TNA, where they are doing nothing but just looking after themselves. That is the problem. I mean, if we had a vigilant opposition, they would have taken issues like this up. I mean, the UNP opposition was useless. That is why UNP couldn't come into power. They had to use a Sirisena to obtain a part for them.
That's right. So, how essential is the requirement for a robust the opposition?
It's very important, but I don't think a robust opposition is possible where the franchise has been diminished to completely closed up for 4 years and 6 months. And when the matter was argued in the Supreme Court, Chief Justice Siripavan didn't even make a comment on it. I mean, when you make a submission for us, there's two things you accept. You have to make it can be accepted or rejected. In this case, it was not accepted or rejected or what words expressed in the judgment.
Yes.
I mean, it's not even mumbo jumbo for us to criticize. There's nothing. I mean, that is, I would say, a disgraceful performance. And because when you make submissions, the submissions must be rejected if they are not accepted. But here there's not a word, and this is the most important section that is going to ruin this country. 19th Amendment is doing more damage than any other section. I mean, you have constitutional councils. What is the independence you see?
What about this wonderfully partial statement from the Transport and Aviation Minister, Nimal Siripala de Silva, who says that the government is at the mercy of civil society outfits and social media, and he alleges that the media are pursuing politicos and public officials. Shall we feel sorry for him?
I don't know whether he desires to contest the next elections when he makes statements like that. I think he wants to probably...
Do you think he's taken leave of his senses?
No, I don't think. I think he has made a determined effort not to contest next time, because you can't contest unless you are living in a transparent society.
But this is wonderful, you know. They rely on this media to come into power, to change the people who were apparently unchangeable. And now, once they've come into power, they then feel that it's their right, their divine right even, to knock the very media that helped them along into power.
Yeah, because media will help you to power, and media will criticize you when you do wrong things, and that is democracy.
They
don't
can't be fixing
it.
The news.
That's why I say that people who reject all that should not enter politics, should gracefully retire.
But isn't it? No, don't you detect a systemic flaw in the sense that you say that it's the same old people who are in power? But the people have got hardly a choice, because the parties nominate the same old people.
Same old people, or the new people are their progeny. That's worse. I mean, there's a continuation, and the people are have no choice, no alternates. That is why, if you remember what happened after the referendum brought two evil characters into the scene, Vijay Veera and Prabhakaran. That is because people were denied the right to vote. It was after that we had all these terrorist attacks. Because if not, I think Vijay Veera and Prabhakaran would have been in parliament, and before long they would have been both corrupted.
I wonder which is worse, though. Which is worse, the terrorist activities or becoming corrupt?
I think both should be completely eliminated, and there are few people who are responsible for elimination. I mean, you must give it to the security services that they eliminated both terrorism and, but they can't eliminate corruption. They eliminated terrorism because that was within their powers. Corruption is something that has to be done by the civil society, and civil society has now deserted this.
How palatable is it to bring in defeated candidates?
That's a very interesting question, because if you are defeated this time and you are brought in through the back door and become part and parcel of the UNP administration, do you think any SLFP person is going to vote for him? That's the end of
But we are a cricket-loving nation, and cricket is our binding force. Cricket is our de facto national religion, and we all know that when you're out, you're out. You don't get a second chance.
Yes, but remember, Faraz, it was during the height of terrorism that we won the World Cup, and what a moment it was. And remember, you're out, but you have now a system of review available.
Yes.
Now, which is the only cricket playing country that is not given the right of review? India. So this is I mean, in this world, so many funny things are happening. I mean, we have Modi, who is supposed to be bringing a transparent society, but still India is still very recent. I don't know whether they have altered that decision. They didn't have this review system at all, which I think is technically a very valuable thing, because in cricket, what you want to know is play it according to the rules, and if a person is out, give him out. And if it's not correct, if you must have a right of appeal, that's democracy. And if that decision is now technically supported, and all countries accept it, except India. Now the strange thing is, in the cricket world, India is paramount because that's where the money is. So one...
Do you think they're using that as a
undoubtedly, that is why the Supreme Court of India has taken action against that in the BCCI, yes, or something to that effect in the papers a few days ago.
Well, we've covered a wide-ranging repertoire of questions and possibilities and so on. But as we move into 2017 and steam ahead towards 2020, what can you advise the people to do to stop the talking and to take action? What can the people do?
Yes, you're asking me for some advice. Can I be a little personal? Yes, I will. What I feel is this aged, weary, tired leadership of both the UNP and the SLFP have outlasted and outdistanced themselves too much. It must be changed. Let the people change. Let new leaders come. Let leaders emerge both from the UNP. They have talented people. SLFP have a few talented people. Let them emerge. Don't keep on with the same crowd over and over again, or their children or their progeny. Let us have new people, but there are tested people. I mean, it may be old names.
You see, Mr. Dayasiri, as we come along to the end of this morning's program, what I'd like to say is this, that the people must be a little bit more proactive.
Undoubtedly. It's the people who have to finally...
We had companies that meekly paid up that special 25% super gains tax merely on the basis of the finance minister ordering that they paid. There was no legal rationale. They had already distributed their profits and made their plans, and it was retrospectively applied. And to add sort of salt to the wound, the Minister of Finance at the time made a statement that these were ill-gotten gains, without so much as an inquiry. And yet we have the central bank bond scheme, which had not one but two COPE reports. And they went into it. And we have an Auditor General's report, as you pointed out. There is a central bank report. And what has happened to that problem? It is indeed very, very partial.
The whole problem is I don't believe people, because people are the common people, they may not know, but we have skilled people. Sri Lanka has a big reservoir of skilled, able people who are silent, who don't serve us. Very few do that. I mean, in your program, I've seen people come and quite frankly speak their mind. That's what is necessary. People must speak their mind, people must act. People can't be negative, not especially the skilled people. In the old days, there were more skilled.
We'd like to invite people who are straight talking to come on our program. Give us a call, drop us an email, and let's have you on our program, and let's have your take on what afflicts our country and how the way forward 2017 will hold. On that note, Gomin Dayasiri, thank you very much for being on Newsline.
Thank you, Faraz, and you made a very good final request for people to come forward. Take the opportunity.
Indeed. And on that note, we'll be here, same time, same place, all over again tomorrow morning. In the meantime, take care, have a great day, and God bless.